Hey folks, George here. Last time we discussed the ethics and morality around gene therapy and genetic enhancements and the morality around genetic enhancements. We examined an article by John Harris in which he argued in favor of the ethics of gene enhancement and genetic enhancement. This time we're going to analyze an article by Walter Gannon entitled Genetic Enhancement, in which Gannon is going to argue against a lot of the reasons and arguments that Harris proposed. Gannon suggests that we must distinguish gene therapy on one hand from genetic enhancement on the other hand. Gene therapy intervention should be used to make adequate the baseline condition. Genetic enhancement, however, is to amplify normal genes to make them better. He refers back to a famous philosopher, Norman Daniels, who says, healthcare is about maintaining or restoring function to a normal level. Clearly, genetic enhancement goes beyond this goal of restoring to a normal level. Here he addresses the question of immunizations that Harris uses as a very core aspect of his own argument. Well, what about immunizations and vaccines? Recall that Harris said that vaccines and immunizations enhance the immune system to better fight off diseases. Here, Gannon says, enhancement is justified if it prevents disease. Really, this isn't enhancement at all. Rather, it is maintaining the body's proper working order against things like measles, mumps, and rubella, and all the rest. It doesn't raise the body to above some norm. And now, Gannon really hits me close to home. He asks about another sort of enhancement. What about shortness or short people? He says we should not enhance shortness. Why? Because being short doesn't really limit one's functioning. Gannon acknowledges if the shortness of some person really did limit the functioning of that person, then the enhancement, or rather the treatment of that shortness, is acceptable. Gannon acknowledges this is a gray area. The main moral problem, Gannon says, with genetic enhancement is that it gives people an unfair advantage. First of all, only rich people would be able to afford it, making poor people even more worse off. Such qualities are competitive, and competitive goods can't be thought of as normal. But medicine isn't about competitive goods. Rather, medicine should be involved with restoring basic goods, not the competitive ones. What does that say, for example, about performance-enhancing drugs? Gannon is going to suggest that is competitive. That's a great example of competitive goods, my athletic ability, right? Medicine should not be about promoting competitive goods in that regard. For example, consider a very popular performance-enhancing drug, steroids. Offering steroids to somebody to give them a competitive advantage in their athletic endeavor, for example, according to Gannon, is not what medicine is about. It goes against the goal of medicine. However, did you know that doctors do need to prescribe steroids to treat certain ailments? Forgive me, I'm not a doctor, right? But go ahead and look it up. Doctors do prescribe steroids to treat certain medical ailments. That would be an acceptable use, according to Gannon, of steroid prescriptions. Not as a performance-enhancing drug, but as something that restores normal basic function. Genetic enhancement, which gives people an advantage, especially a competitive advantage, would be unfair. The rich would pay for their children to be beautiful and smart. And since poor people couldn't do this, of course it would be unfair. Universal availability, however. Let's say, oh, we solved that problem by just giving it to everybody and making it universally available. Gannon says that wouldn't fix the problem. Why not? Because if it were universally available, it would all cancel each other out, wouldn't it? Thus, nobody would care about the competitive advantage anymore. Admittedly, some inequalities aren't very morally significant. He already mentioned shortness or height earlier, right? But this would still undermine our belief in the inherent equality of all. And by the way, enhancing intelligence via some medical enhancement or genetic enhancement, it would make the intelligence alien to us. What does that mean? It's not my intelligence anymore. Thus, it would actually diminish our autonomy, according to Gannon. And so, in summary, Gannon closes with his 4 main points. Number 1, genetic enhancement would make unfair advantages. Number 2, genetic enhancement, even if it were universalized, would undermine these qualities, making them meaningless. Number 3, genetic enhancement would undermine our belief in the inherent equality of all. And number 4, genetic enhancement would make that quality alien to me, and thus reducing my sense of personhood and my sense of autonomy. See you next time. Bye-bye.